Hey guys, it's Elizabeth. I'm back again. Are you guys sick of me yet? I'm getting a little sick of hearing myself talk. I'm here tonight with JoBeth, who is Joe B. Red Funny Girl on YouTube. Say hi.
Hello.
She looks beautiful. Um, you look so pretty.
That's because you're used to seeing me in the mom life with no makeup on or anything.
So, because I don't know how many people know you on YouTube.
Not many, I don't think.
Okay, well, I fell in love with you because, and we can talk about that later, because of your great comments on my videos and started watching you. But why don't you just kind of give everybody the spiel about who you are, what you do, where you live, your life, your weight loss surgery, all the things.
Okay. Well, I probably, like everybody else, grew up chubby, fat, whatever, and my weight went up and down and up and down, and I tried controlling it myself. And I mean, I had gotten down, I think the lowest was 187 on my own. And then I got pregnant with my daughter, and I went up to, I think I was 303 when I gave birth. And I was like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? And then I went back to school when she was 3 months old, and the weight just kept piling on and piling on. And the highest it ever got that I know of was 333, but it could have gotten higher than that. I was having tons of back problems, and I went in for an MRI because I had gone into the chiropractor a lot. I went into the doctor, the hospital. I had to go to the emergency room, and my back was really, really, really bad. So I went in for an MRI, and they weighed me that day, and I was 333. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not even going to fit in the MRI machine. And it was like, I have to do something. I had gone to an informational meeting on weight loss surgery like a year prior, and I was like, no, they freaked me out. I was like, I'm not doing that. I can just do it myself. And I tried, and it didn't work. So when I was in there, I was like having a full-blown panic attack waiting for the MRI machine. And I told the person, I was like, am I even going to fit in there? And it was really, really scary. I didn't want to get stuck in the MRI machine. And so I had turned in my paperwork when I got home to be on the like waiting list, whatever, to have weight loss surgery. We sent our information into the weight loss surgery hospital around here, and it took like a full month to get the stuff back. But I was like, whether I get it back or not, I have to do something about my weight because my back is just excruciating. It would be out for like 6 weeks straight.
Wow.
And I could not function anymore. So I tried everything I could, and then they finally got back to me, and I went in and did all the stuff, and I needed it done. So I worked super hard to lose as I was going along. I had weight loss surgery July 2016, and I tried so hard to stick to exactly what they told me to do. I didn't drink when I wasn't supposed to. I ate exactly what I was supposed to. I didn't eat the sugar. I did really, really good. The lowest I got down to was 157. Like, it was so crazy to lose more than I actually weighed.
So, yeah. So, how old are you, JoBeth?
I am 34.
Okay, you're 34. You look like you're 25, so that's awesome. Liz Legerini, did I get it right, is here on chat. So I want to say hi to her.
Oh.
So you live, I mean, tell what you want to tell that will prevent stalkers, but you live somewhere cold.
I live in Minnesota, and it is very, very cold. Very
general. You live in Minnesota. Okay, so you had your surgery in July of 2016. So what is that? So you're like two and a half years post-op.
Yes.
What type of surgery did you, I know, but I'm just saying, what type of surgery?
I had Roux-en-Y.
Okay. And how did you choose that surgery?
I wanted the best outcome possible, and I looked at all of the stats because I live with anxiety, and so I'm always like Googling everything and looking up all the info on all of my options before I make a decision. So yeah, it showed on those statistics that you were more likely to lose more weight, a little bit more, and you were likely to keep it off a little bit more. So I was like, I want that one. And I wanted repercussions if I ate naughty foods. So
I'm just curious, did you have them? Because I know so many people had RNY who don't have repercussions, really.
Mine, I can eat more sugar than I could at the beginning, but definitely it's a bad day when I have too much sugar. I feel like I'm going to throw up. I get dizzy. I have to lay down and like I feel like the room is spinning. I just feel like death. And then as soon as that's done, I fall asleep for like 30 minutes. My whole body just like shuts down. I cannot fight the sleep. It's crazy. I hate it. Hate it.
So 157. So it was 330. You were 333 when you had surgery?
Well, 333 at my highest weight,
Okay.
281 day of surgery. And then 157 was the lowest I saw on the scale. And then I maintained 160 to 165 for a good long time. It was my happy place.
So how long did it take you to get to the 157? Because you haven't, I mean, you've done 2.5 years. You got married, you had another baby.
I've had so many crazy changes in that time, but it was probably like between a year to a year and a half to get to where I was very, very happy. But the extra skin, even at like, I'm kind of young, but
you're young.
I hate the extra skin like by my armpits. That's one of the worst. I had huge arms, but my stomach actually was pretty good. After having another baby, it's not as good, but yeah, my weight usually was in my arms and my butt, my big butt, my legs. So I would love to one day get like a thigh lift, whatever it is, and I want boobs.
Okay. My friend just had a thigh lift, and that one sounds tougher than some of the
horrible, but that skin, like even after I was at 157, I tried on shorts and I was like, the one thing I wanted to wear, I still didn't look good in my eyes. So I was like, I still wear 3/4 lengths all the time.
All right. Well, we have some guys here tonight. Phil's back again.
Hey,
we did a great show with
Phil last night.
But yeah, I've gotten so much feedback off of that show, more than any of the others I've done this time around. So everybody loved that. And Luis Hernandez is here too. So yay, we have some guys here tonight to talk about pregnancy after weight loss surgery. So tell me a little bit about what your eating plan and exercise plan was immediately after surgery. You also changed jobs didn't you?
I have done so many things, and I got like Invisalign and changed my teeth. Like I changed into a whole new person. Yeah, I was working in the food service industry, and I switched it up and I decided to be a nanny of 4 children, which is crazy. I don't know exactly why I chose that, but life is crazy. I watch a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 9-year-old. I have a 4-month-old baby and a 5-year-old child. So it's a lot of crazy in my life on any given day.
That may sound like my worst nightmare, but so when you first had surgery up until I guess until you got pregnant, but what was your basic eating?
I put everything into MyFitnessPal. Everything, every bite I would take, I tried to estimate the best I could. I wanted to just like see what I was eating. And I started doing that when I was in the process of, getting ready to have surgery too. They taught me to do that. And I found out that I have very low metabolism. They're like, oh, just go down to like 1,800 calories and you'll start losing weight. And I was like, that's a lot for me and I will not lose weight. So
wait a minute, before weight loss surgery, you were at 1,800 calories and you didn't lose weight?
Oh yeah. I have been such a dieter, yo-yo dieter for so long. And I have probably had some bad eating habits, and like I would go like binge eating for such a long time, and then I would restrict, and sometimes I would eat like 500 calories a day. Like in my teenage years, I always had food issues and weight issues and all kinds of stuff. So I had screwed everything up. So when I was meeting with the nutritionist, she goes, okay, let's try 1,500 calories. And I was staying the same weight. And I was like, I'm going to have to be on like 1,300, 1,200, or I'm not going to be losing anything. And she goes, okay. So when I was still like close to 300 pounds, that was the only way that I was losing anything.
Wow. And I was heavier than you, but I went down to like 2,500 calories and 40 pounds in the 4 months before surgery.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. They didn't expect it to be that bad for me. The nutritionist was a little shocked, but everybody's body works a little bit different. And I know that I had abused my body a lot in my earlier years. So
were you, high protein, low carb? Yes.
High protein, low carb. I don't even remember exactly. It was so hard to get in what I should have gotten in. Even when I went back like months later and I saw my surgeon, he was like, "Oh, are you able to eat like a half a cup now?" And I was like, no. It was really, really hard for me to get in a quarter of a cup at a time for months. So, I mean, my restriction was super, super good. I was very appreciative because it stretches out. And while pregnant, it stretches out at different times. I was shocked how much I could eat in like the second trimester. I was like, oh, I hope I didn't ruin my tool. But it's just crazy. Your body does what it needs.
Yeah. So did you exercise?
Um, with all of my back issues, I was very restricted. I've been in physical therapy for my back like 4 different times, so I could do walking. They didn't want me jogging, but I don't know, different. A lot of walking. When I was just out of surgery, I had a job, you know, working in the food service industry, but I was working in a giant 3M plant. And so I would walk from one kitchen to the other kitchen and deliver food all over. And since I was trying to be fit and healthy, I would volunteer to go like do the furthest meals away from us. And so sometimes by the end of the day, my work day, I'd had over 17,000 steps in. And then after that, I would go for walks with my daughter and do stuff around town. So it was a lot of walking, but not like super hardcore at the gym.
So one of the things, how I first met you, this is like the first time we've really talked to each other, but quote unquote met you, is you would make really thoughtful and emotional, and you know, I'm all about the feels and the emotions and the mental stuff. And you made such great comments on my videos, particularly when I was going through my mental mindfuck stage of weight loss surgery. And in some of our communication back and forth, I know that that psychological work has been a big piece of your life.
Huge.
Do you feel like some of the work that you did pre-weight loss surgery led to your having it, or how did that kind of impact your path?
I'm sure. I've been in and out of counseling since I was probably 6th grade. I mean, I have always had self-esteem issues and anxiety issues, and I used to have like a self-hatred. I used to self-mutilate. I had so many issues. So I have been absolutely in and out of therapy. But it was like, I really didn't feel like I deserved much of anything when it came to relationships or just doing good things for myself. Like I just felt like I deserved nothing. So it definitely took like years of straight every single week therapy. And I was super worried I was going to fail the what was it? The psychological test. Yeah. Before I was like, oh, I've had all these issues for so long, they're going to fail me and I'm not going to get my surgery. So yeah, it definitely took a while for me to feel like I deserved anything. And it was so weird as like the weight kept coming off, like the things that would pop up in therapy. And I was like, I haven't even thought of that in years. And like, it's crazy. I still go to therapy every 2 weeks. And if I don't, I definitely miss it.
I've started watching my old videos back, like from the very beginning. I'm not very far. But one of the things that was interesting to me is that I had all these dreams in the beginning where I was like cleaning out my house. Like my house, I like had we have another guy here, Tom Cruise. Hey. Tom Cruise is here, except CRUZ. But it was like I lived in my dream, I lived in this like hoarder's house, and I was cleaning out all the stuff. And I think that, had a lot to do with weight and mental
stuff. Yeah.
Whatever you feel comfortable talking about, but what were some of the things that came up for you after you had weight loss surgery and started to lose the weight?
Oh my goodness. Just like I put up with so much crap because I hated the way I looked and I felt like I was not valued until somebody else loved me. And that needed to change because even now, like I still have issues and I've been with the same person for like 6.5 years. He met me when I was at my thinnest before. He stayed with me through my heaviest and through the surgery and all of this stuff, and has been with me now again at my lightest and has seen all the fluctuations. And I really have, it sounds stupid, but I had to learn to love myself. And it's still a work in progress, but it's just like I accepted so much crap. And I think I have lots of issues with guys. I don't know why, but I just wanted my worth to come from them. Mm-hmm. And so I dated a lot of really, really crappy people. And I think I got bigger and bigger and bigger to kind of see who would love me for me.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I pushed a lot of people away with my weight. And it's really weird. I loved watching like my 600-pound life. And I was like, oh, I can so relate to that. Like a lot of them seem to have something like sexual that happened to them as a child. And like even all of my years of issues, I asked my therapist, I was like, I don't remember anything happening, but I feel like, you know, I have all of these symptoms and I was, you know, a self-mutilator. And I was like, it seems like something happened, but I have no recollection. So I don't know, maybe there is something, but I have no clue.
That's interesting because that's how I felt a lot too. It's like I don't have a memory of that, but I think it might. I don't think anything happened to me, but I think it might be on the other end where you just get so, I mean, I don't know about you, but I had a lot of issues with abandonment of important people when I was very young. And that's sort of the same thing, and that you build this layer of protection around yourself as a way to prevent that and to keep people away and all those.
And I have like a very loving family and a huge family. Mm-hmm. And I just remember my dad saying a couple comments to me when I was growing up that always just stuck with me. And I was like, I don't know if it's because of those little comments that I really, really valued men's opinion of me. But like, I remember being in, I think it was 7th grade, and our class went on like a field trip to go skiing, and we had to get weighed to get our skis. And I was like 155 in 7th grade. And my dad said, oh, that's not a really big number. Just stay at that number and don't go any higher. And I was like, excuse me? Like just comments thrown in there casually, but it definitely affected me and my self-esteem.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, I look back at pictures of me when I was in like in elementary school when people started to try to get me to lose weight, and I look perfectly normal. And I think part of that is just people are so much more overweight now.
Yeah.
Than they were then, because I'm quite a bit older than you. But I remember, you know, my dad saying, I'll send you to Hawaii if you lose the weight. And I'll do this and I'll do that. And I also remember my grandfather as a teenager, and I was not, I mean, I thought I was huge, but I was about 155, 160 pounds. And he's like, you know, nobody's going to marry you if you.
My dad said the same stuff. Yep.
What the fuck?
I don't know. Why?
What is wrong with these people?
Ugh.
I mean,
in my dad's defense, he had 5 boys and 3 girls. He didn't really know how to talk to us girls very well.
Yeah, but it's so bizarre. And I even think, okay, it's one thing in my day, but I'm, you know, almost 20 years older than you. You would think that they would have learned something in that period of time. Yeah. So did you find, so you were with he's your husband now because you got married since weight loss surgery. Did you find things in your relationship that changed as you lost the weight, even though he had met you at your thinnest?
It's super weird. I think as I would bring stuff up in counseling and have to deal with it, like I had to bring things up with him too. And I hate it. I am like the least confrontational person you will ever meet. And my counselor would be like, okay, now you have to talk to him about this. If you don't like something, you need to tell him or it's going to continue. And I'd be like, I don't want to do it. So we grew together, and he actually came with me a few times to counseling. He comes with anytime he has an opportunity to, and it's been super helpful. But our relationship actually just got better and better. Like, because of my anxiety, I would hate going to his work parties, and I would hate going to his friends.
I remember one of the videos that you did pretty early on where you talked about going to his work party, and
hate it.
But you had fun, didn't you? Or no, what happened? He got really into something happened.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I was super mad. It was like we had a babysitter for an overnight at a hotel, and I was like, ooh, it's a fun weekend. And then he got trashed, and I had to like hold the garbage for him, and he was barfing it, and it was not a good night. I was like, this is not what I had expected. No. Yeah.
Did you find, and we're going to get into the, okay, well, had you guys already planned on getting married, or that came up after you had weight loss surgery?
Well, that was the idea, was to go towards marriage, but he's a big old chicken, so it just took years and years and years and years to get there. But yeah, that was always the plan.
Okay, so you have a daughter who's how old?
5.
Who's 5. Okay, so did you have problems? I mean, one of the things about pregnancy and weight loss surgery is a lot of people have weight loss surgery so they can get pregnant, but
Yeah.
you didn't have that problem, right? So
Actually, I guess I have PCOS, and I've always had messed up periods like my entire life. And so Callie was just a happy little accident that happened. And then after we wanted to get pregnant again, we tried and tried and tried and tried for, it was about 10 months. And then I got pregnant, and then I had a miscarriage right around the time my dad had a stroke. And then we continued trying and trying up until the point that I was like, okay, for sure, I'm going to do weight loss surgery. Maybe it will help me to be able to get pregnant, because it just wasn't working. And so then you have to not try. And that was really frustrating. I was like, oh, I want a baby so bad. And you can't do it. And they're like, you can't do it for the first year. We suggest not till the first 1.5 to 2 years, till you're in a good place. So I was really good, and I tried not to get pregnant for that span of time, but that was really hard. I had baby fever all the time, and everybody was getting pregnant around me. So,
and so did you, when you tried this time with your son, did you get pregnant right away, or it was still a struggle?
4 months. 4 months. And I was like, yay, it works. Like, my period after probably 6 months after surgery, it got regular. Like, every month I had one, and I was like, this is not normal for me at all. So it definitely helped with the PCOS symptoms and things. But yeah.
Well, that's great. And it's what, I mean, I have to say, the people who haven't had kids and really did have weight loss surgery for that reason, to see them with their kids. And it's some of those people who asked for this show. And one of my closest friends, Sarah, and I need to introduce you guys, because I'm going to connect you on Instagram or Facebook or somewhere. But she's just been really busy, so she couldn't do it. I wanted her to come on with you. I actually wanted to have a couple people on, but it gives me such joy to see these people who, really had weight loss surgery. For me, that's like the biggest success you can have from weight loss surgery as a woman, if that's why you know.
That was a huge reason why I chose to have the surgery.
So what were your initial concerns about getting pregnant after weight loss surgery?
Oh, so many. Living with anxiety, I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to have a healthy baby? Is this baby going to be underweight? Am I going to be able to breastfeed? Am I not going to be able to breastfeed? Like, what do I eat? How many calories am I supposed to eat? And like, it's so weird, because you go to your gastric surgeon and they tell you all of these facts after surgery. And then you go to an OBGYN and they tell you all the normal people statistics. And I was like, but I am supposed to eat like 1,200 calories. What am I supposed to eat now? And they're like, oh, just bump it up like 200 calories more. And I was like, is that healthy? Like, it just brings up so many questions, because you're not going to somebody who's a specialist in both areas. And I was like, I wish that I had someone here that was like a gastric bypass OBGYN specialist, because there's so many different things. And like, at every appointment, you're like, okay, well, just to tell you, I'm not going to be able to do the regular sugar test for diabetes, and I can't take this, and I can't do this. And like, you're kind of informing your OBGYN at the same time.
And most of the people that I know who got pregnant after weight loss surgery had VSG. I'm sure there's way more things to worry about with RNY because of malabsorption.
Yes. And so like, I kind of just would wing it where I would have to, like, before I was taking all of these vitamins and I had my regimen, and then afterwards I'm reading all the bottles and I'm like, oh, it says don't take if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, or ask your doctor. And then you switch to, prenatal vitamins. So instead of taking the 2 a day, I would take 3 a day. But it was just kind of like, I would be asking my OBGYN so many questions every time I would go in, and sometimes you stump them because they're not used to it. So it got a little tricky. Like instead of the regular gross drink that you would drink for the sugar test, they had me start off early, and I had to start doing my blood test as if I was a diabetic. And so 4 times a day, I would have to prick my finger, write down my sugars, write what I ate, keep a whole logbook, and then I had to bring it in for my next appointment. And she was like, "Ooh, your sugars actually are not very good." And it shocked me to my core. I had never had diabetes before. I'd had gastric bypass, and I was like, a bunch of people get out of their diabetes, however you want to say it, after having surgery. And I was like, how in the heck did I get gestational diabetes? I didn't have
That's
it.
sort of crazy. I want to do another Matthew Weiner, who's a really informed bariatric surgeon. I want to do another show with him, even though I said I'm not doing this anymore after this month. But I think that's a good question for him, particularly with RNY, because I didn't even think about this when you were telling me before that you had gestational diabetes. But, you know, you leave the hospital. If you have diabetes, you leave the hospital after RNY.
It was never on my radar thinking that this was going to be a problem for me. I didn't have it with my daughter, and I was like, this shouldn't be happening to me. And really trying to regulate it. We tried to regulate it with my diet first. And I was like, I don't even eat much sugar or I'll have dumping syndrome. So I don't know what is happening. And then towards the end, it was getting crazy. It would go so high that I would start getting hot and sweaty, and then it would drop so low that I thought I was going to pass out. I had to go into the hospital for extra NST, non-stress tests. It was a little bit of a nightmare.
Insulin, or what do they do for? I don't even know what they do for gestational.
They started me on insulin. Like I had to inject myself once a day in the morning, but they were like, "We'll start you off at a low dose," and it was supposed to last all day, and it didn't help at all. So each time I'd go in, she would bump it up, and she goes, it could be because your body's not absorbing things normal. It could be because you're having low carbs. Sometimes it tricks your body. So they upped my carbs towards the end, and I had to have like 15 carbs per snack and 30 per meal. And I was like, you're scaring me right now. Like, this is not how I eat. So it was a little bit scary, but I have to tell you, this pregnancy versus my daughter's, when I was pregnant with my daughter, like I was getting so heavy, my back just like, it was out for probably the majority of my pregnancy. And this time around, I was like, I was walking like 5-6 miles a day. I went camping at like 32, 33 weeks pregnant with the people I nanny for, and I was walking all over the place. And I was like, I was the leader of the pack for most of it. I was like, I'm kind of liking this aspect of it. But gestational diabetes was the downfall, but I'm pretty sure that does not happen with the majority of people.
So did you, I mean, I'm assuming you're having, it's been a long time since I've been pregnant because my son is 22.
Yes.
But I assume you're getting your blood tested at different stages. Did you have any issues with iron or calcium or any of those things?
They actually did not run a full panel of blood while I was pregnant. You know, I do my yearly regular one, but they didn't check all that stuff, but I seemed fine. They did like their normal pregnancy stuff that they have to check for, but I was very, very healthy. I mean, at the beginning I was super sick, like normal, but I mean, I didn't have issues that I felt really, really crappy. So they didn't test for extra stuff. I mean, I probably could have asked them to, but.
Have you been to your bariatric surgeon? How old's your son now? 4
months.
Have you been to your bariatric surgeon since you had him?
No, my bariatric surgeon actually retired like around my 1 year mark. And so it's a totally different person that I don't really know. I think at my next like yearly appointment, I'll be going back to that bariatric center.
I guess I'm just wondering about calcium and iron.
I have not had it checked since him, but I mean, I feel really good. I'm still taking my prenatals. I'm breastfeeding. And I had problems with breastfeeding with my daughter too. I just don't make enough milk, but I mean, he's very, very healthy. He came out 8 pounds, 5.2 ounces, and he was a week early. So I have a very good, healthy baby from a pregnancy after surgery. So
Okay. And so I think one of the things that people wanted, the people who reached out about doing a show on this wanted to talk about is how much weight you gain, what changes about your surgery, and how you deal with that afterwards. So it sounds like you were very active, and with the exception of the gestational diabetes, pretty healthy.
I think the very end when they upped my carbs, I started gaining really fast. So I think I was about 168 right before I got pregnant. It was like right after Thanksgiving and my wedding reception and all of that stuff. And then towards the end, she kept saying, "You're doing really good. You haven't gained this month, and you haven't gained, like, you've gained 1 pound in this month." And then at the end, it was a crapshoot. So I think all total, when I went in to have him, I was like 212 or something. But within the week of having him, when all the water weight came off, I was back under 200 pounds. So right now, I am in between 189 and 190, and I'm kind of stuck there. While I'm breastfeeding, I cannot restrict my calories less than I am now, which is hard. If you don't want to breastfeed, then you can go right back into your routine as soon as doctor says it's okay. But it's been really, really hard. I think the biggest thing that just messes with you when you're pregnant after is you've been working for a year to 2 years trying to get to that number on the scale, and you're working every day to see it go down lower and lower and just stay where you're comfortable. And then all of a sudden you're like, I have to gain weight for this child to grow healthy. And you're like, oh, every time I'd see the scale go up, I was like, just don't look at it. And I mean, it was still like, comparing the two pregnancies, it was so much better of a number, but it messes with you hardcore. You're like, I had a big old surgery to have a lower number on the scale, and it's scary. It's really scary. No matter what you've told yourself as you're going along, I'm having a baby, it's okay. You go, oh no, I'm going to ruin what I just did. And even though, like, I am not back down to my previous pregnancy weight, but I still feel good. I still feel like there's restriction. I still have dumping. I still, like, everything is still there. I just need to right now lay off of the holiday treats. But it's like everything from surgery is still there. Over the holidays, like, I might have had a nibble of this and a nibble of that, but there's no way I could pig out on everything. And then, I don't know.
That's funny. I was thinking about, because I got back on track today, but it's so funny. Karen's here. Hi, Karen. But I was like thinking about it today. I'm like, well, wait a minute. How off track were you really? You had 3 pieces of apple pie with ice cream during
the whole span of the holiday.
Even that includes Thanksgiving. I mean, through the whole thing. You had that, and you had some mashed potatoes and some creamed corn. And yesterday you had a mini pizza. I mean, it's like,
when you think back to
that's not even one day. Exactly. That's not even one day before. But
I don't want to be like, oh, it's okay to just eat whatever you want. But I mean, when you're just have a reality check, it'll be okay. After these holidays are done, get back on track. Don't just give up. I mean, the weight back on, but
keto, though, is when you go off. I mean, keto, you just there, and there are so many options. There are so many options on keto for sweet things. I mean, it's like, okay, there has to be a point where I realize, I mean, you just can't, because you gain so much water weight immediately that it really messes with you.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I have a close friend who has a baby who just turned a year old yesterday. So Edie turned a year old yesterday, and she's still, she had 2 kids after weight loss surgery. And she is also breastfeeding, and I hope she doesn't care that I'm telling her stuff. She would have been on here tonight if she hadn't been busy planning Edie's first birthday party, which is tomorrow. But I heard this. I mean, I only breastfed till my son was about 4 months old, but that, a lot of times you're burning extra calories when you're breastfeeding. She has not had that experience. Have you had that experience?
No. Even when I tried it with my daughter for about 3 months, I lose a little bit right away after having the baby, and then I just stay. It's not helpful to me.
Well, okay, that's what she says too. So I don't know what other people in the weight loss.
Some people, it works great for them and they just lose all that weight right away. My body doesn't like me like that. No.
So how are you? What's your food plan now that you need to maintain a certain level of calories for breastfeeding?
I have just kind of been trying to listen to my body. And, after the holidays, you just feel yuck. So, like, some days I'm like, okay, I need my protein yogurt and I need some fruit. I need to get some good whole foods into me. And I just have been trying to, when I'm hungry, I'm trying to eat something not crazy, but I'm trying not to be as crazy. Like, if I would like a piece of wheat toast or something, I will have one. But my restriction has always been pretty good, except for the second trimester of pregnancy. I don't know what happened. It just let me eat whatever the heck I wanted. I don't know.
So that's not even your third trimester when you had was that when they started increasing your carbs?
That was the third trimester. Oh. But the second trimester, I didn't gain very much, but my body just needed more food all the time. And it would be really weird. Like, I would go to Subway and I could eat a whole 6-inch sub. And I was like, what's happening? I think I've ruined things. But I feel like my body it needed more to grow a human. So it let me eat more.
Yeah.
And the third trimester, like, you're so big, there's no room anywhere for it to expand. So it went back to being shrunken.
Yeah. So in terms of, because your eating habits have obviously changed a lot and you live in a home with other people, with your husband and your daughter, how has that affected them and their eating habits?
Well, generally, my husband's a picky man and he likes his meat and potatoes. Usually if I make like spaghetti for the family, I will make regular spaghetti with noodles and garlic bread and salad and everything. And then I'll just make like zoodles for me and put the same sauce on. So I just kind of tweak it slightly so that I can eat almost the same thing as them. But I try to always, it's so weird, like having a daughter and I don't want her to have food issues. Mm-hmm. And like when she tells me, Mom, I'm full, I'm like, I'm not trying to force her to eat everything on her plate. I might, if she hasn't eaten any vegetables, I might say, eat a couple bites of that. But I try really hard to enforce, like, listen to your body. When you're full, you're full. In my house, I had 5 brothers and 2 sisters. And I think if you didn't get a big old plate of food, there was nothing left by the end of the meal. There was nothing left. So you just kind of scarfed down what you could. And I don't know, I feel like I don't want her to have all of these stresses in her head about body image and the food and the calories and whatever. I just want her to eat healthy until she's comfortable and be done. So I'm trying to like enforce good things. But my husband's a lost cause with that. He eats crap. I don't know why he is not 500 pounds, but he is not.
Because he has
Mountain Dew all day long. He eats Snickers and Little Debbie's and crap all around me. I have to realize that stuff is always in my house. So I make sure I have healthy options of things that I like that are not bad for me, or I'm going to dig into his stash of naughty food because it's always there.
So you talked a little bit about having binge eating disorders when you were younger. Has this flared up since you had weight loss surgery?
Oh, I've had a few moments, but you learn really quick that you're going to feel like absolute crap. And that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted repercussions when I did something stupid. And it has absolutely helped.
Tremendous. So usually, a binge is brought about by something else that's going on, not just a desire to eat all the food in the house.
Yes.
So how do you deal with that stuff now that you don't have eating as an option?
I think it's a must-have in my life to continue therapy. I just have to. I know that when I go in there and I spill my guts about everything, I feel like 10 pounds lighter when I come out of there. And it's super, super hard for me, but I have to talk to my husband about things. And sometimes I don't want to. I'm super stubborn. And I will lay there and cry in the middle of the night. And I won't say anything. And I won't wake him up. But if he notices and he bugs me like 300 times about it, then I'll eventually open up to him. But he's so good. He knows me at this point. So he's like, I know something's wrong. Tell me. And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm fine.
You know what I used to do when I was living with Brian last year? I would do the same thing. I would be like crying in bed. He would be asleep. He wouldn't hear me. I wouldn't wake him up and tell him, but I would text him so he could wake up and read it before he.
I've done that too. I have texted my husband things that I can't say because I just can't do it. But yeah, I have a bestie who also ended up having weight loss surgery after I did. But she has been there for me for everything. She actually is now my sister-in-law. She married my brother, but she's my best friend first. Yeah, actually 2 people that are my family had weight loss surgery after me. So it's been very, very cool to be the first one who was the guinea pig, and then they all saw the changes and loved it and did it themselves. And like they always ask me questions.
With having so many siblings, are there other people who had weight issues in your family?
Oh, yes, yes. It's been an ongoing problem, I think, for every sibling. Both of my parents, they've all fought the weight issues our entire lives. And Mom is an excellent cook. Thanks, Mom.
I loved your I think you posted this on Facebook where you guys did gingerbread decorating.
Oh, yes, that was super fun.
Decorating contest. Yeah. I think I may have to incorporate that next year. I think the grandkids might be old enough to participate in that next year.
Fun. Super fun. And I'm always in charge of games with my family, Christmases. So I always try to throw in a couple new things, but I think we're going to do that every year. It was really, really good.
So what am I, and I said this beforehand because it's been so long since I've been pregnant, and I wasn't, I was pregnant before what are the things that I'm not asking you about pregnancy and postpartum and all that stuff that you want to tell people?
I feel like it's super important if you are in this community to find somebody else who is pregnant or has been pregnant and latch onto them, because it gets really lonely. Nobody else understands what you're going through. Right. None of your other family who is normal weight or hasn't had the surgery, they have no clue why you are so emotional and why you are still watching the scale and why you're just freaking out on the inside. You need to find somebody who has been there. It was you who actually introduced me to another person who I have on Facebook. We were pregnant at the same time, and it was so perfect to just be like, oh my gosh, I'm stressing about this, and oh, okay, it's normal. Somebody else feels the same way that I do. It's amazing. That is why I love this community. If there is somebody else who's going through the exact same weird things that you are, and it's good to have that person, because it's super, you're already hormonal, and you've already been going through weird stuff from having surgery and so many changes with your body that you need somebody. Just get another buddy in the community. And even if they aren't pregnant, just get another buddy in the community and vent to them, because at least they'll understand that aspect of things.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And I forgot that I had connected you two. I've just seen her baby on Instagram.
So cute. I love it.
But that's a really good point. So if you are pregnant, and people are probably going to be watching this one for a long time, because I'm going to make sure to tag it, pregnancy after weight loss surgery. Reach out to me or to JoBeth or to somebody and
add me on Facebook. Ask me questions. Like I will answer anything you want.
Okay, I just got really excited because Drea's here. Drea, I haven't heard from you. I have heard from you on Instagram, but I'm so happy to see you. And Karen says, it must be so nice to have people in your life that can support you and sharing your journey. She finds it hard to keep explaining all the WLS rules and healthy behavior.
Oh my gosh, yes. The regular parts of your family that have no clue about this, they're like, well, why? Be like, I just want someone who understands why I'm doing the weird things I'm doing.
Yeah. And I think for me, that's why YouTube was so important in the beginning, was to just surround myself, because I watch videos all the time in the beginning, just to surround myself with people who were doing and experiencing the same things I was, because now I have lots of people in my real life, but now it's not that big of a deal because I'm, I know it now. It's almost 5 years. I know what I'm doing. And the thing for me with people in my family who struggle with weight issues is they expected to be able to do it on their own and to have the same success that I was having if I just do this. But it's like, you can't. It's just not. It just doesn't work that way.
No, that's why I had the surgery. It didn't work that way before.
Yeah, for sure. Now, because you were what, like a little over 18 months post-op when you, or 2 years when you got pregnant?
About a year and a half.
So you were probably still in the really hormonal aspect of that.
Yes. Yes. I probably should have waited a little bit longer, but I'm like, my clock is ticking. I got to get this going. And I didn't know if it would take me a year or 2 years to get pregnant. So I was like, hop on this. I want more children too. So I really would like to get back down to go weight again and then
do it
again. Oh, what am I thinking? But yes, that is what the goal is. I'm crazy.
So how many kids are you thinking? 8, like your family?
Oh, no. I always used to want like 4 or 5 though, so we'll see how many. After 3, if I want more, I don't know. But I definitely want more, so we shall see. But it's very important to me that I would like to get down as low as I can before you get pregnant again, because the pounds come on even when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's just what happens when you're pregnant. And the first trimester, like, I was just so sick. I ate even things I should not have eaten because you don't want to feel like you're going to barf all day long. So I was like, I'm eating bread and I'm eating some cereal. And even though it wasn't tons, you're doing whatever it takes to survive. You don't even care at that point. So I know pregnancy is rough, and I will probably gain, I don't know, 30 pounds again. So I would like to get back down before I get pregnant again. But
okay, so I have my theories about, the mental mind after weight loss surgery. So have you even had that? Because you did so 18 months, you got married, you changed your job, you had a kid.
I changed my teeth. I look like an entire different person. Like, when you look at some of the pictures, it's so weird. I'm like, it doesn't feel like me. Like, the person I am at my lowest weight, that was what I felt like was me. Like, just hiding on the inside. It was there. Nobody else could see it, but that's who I felt like I was. And when I saw those pictures of me at like over 300 pounds, and I was like, that's what I really looked like. In my head, I didn't look like that.
Yeah, me too. It's like a weird reverse body dysmorphia or something.
Yeah. And I usually didn't take full body pictures. If anybody was taking a picture, it was just like, just take it from here up. Don't get my double chins. Don't get anything else. And so there are rare few pictures. And my sister, I had to ask her the other day, I was like, hey, do you have any fat pictures of me? Because I don't have any. And she was like, I have a couple, but she had, I think, 3 pictures. And
that picture did not look fat. I'm just saying that picture did not, your before picture did not look that fat. Just saying.
There was a worse one, but it didn't fit quite in that picture frame. But I will probably show some more on my next couple of videos or something, because I had one that didn't look like me at all. My face was so fat, and I was like, oh my word, why is that me? Like, I hate and I like looking at those pictures because it shows how far I've come. But I was like, whoo, I didn't know I got that big.
Yeah. Yeah. But so do you feel like, though, that you had like the mental mind, whatever, or what did that look like for you?
It looked like a lot of things. I had videos that I was like freaking out because, we always have transfer addictions and stuff. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't have enough money to go shopping all the time. That's my preferred method. And so I started like hoarding all of these weird sugar-free treats. And I
remember that now.
And I was like, look at what I have done. Like, what am I doing? So there was just different eye-opening things that I would be like, what the hell? What am I doing? Like, you try to sabotage yourself sometimes. It looked like many things in my life, or sometimes I would just freak out. We'd be out and about and people would give me so much attention that I was like, oh, I don't like this either. No. And I'm a very shy person usually until you get to know me, and then I'm chatty. So it's just been super weird. People are like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in 3 years. You look fantastic. And I was like, don't talk to me. Just don't. Like, I don't like the attention. It's too much. Or people wouldn't even recognize me. Somebody that came to my wedding shower thought that I was a totally different person that Dennis was marrying. She was like, what happened to the other girl that Dennis was with? And I was like, still still me. So I was like a totally different person. And so people in my family kept telling me, oh, you're getting too skinny. And I was like, no, if I was a normal person, like I am still showing up as like not obese, but I'm still chubby on the weight scale, like on BMI. And I was like, you just are not used to seeing me like this. It was a lot of things. And being with somebody who's seen you at all of those different weights, I was like, did he really love me then? Like it just makes you rethink everything.
Yeah, well, that's my thing. I feel like husbands of weight loss surgery, I don't know if this is true. I don't know, Phil, if you're still here, or if the guys who are on here, I don't know, had weight loss surgery. I think if you are married to a woman who has weight loss surgery, you can't win. There is like no winning, because first of all, they're going to think, so if you were, I don't know, it's just like so messed up, because you don't want to compliment them, because then that means you didn't like the way they looked before, but then everybody else in the world is complimenting them and you're not. And they're like, I just really feel.
When I asked Dennis if I should get the surgery, he goes, I'm not commenting on this. He goes, you make your decision and I will support you, whatever you choose. I'm not saying anything. And I was like, I suppose that was the right answer. If he says go ahead, I would have overthought everything and been like, he doesn't love me like I am. And then if he said no, I would be mad at him because he didn't want to help me on my journey. So he's a smart man. He just said, I will support you, whatever you choose.
That sounds like a good guy. Drea says the attention gets her every time. She almost misses being invisible.
Yeah, sometimes I feel exactly like that. I was invisible on purpose. And sometimes I miss being invisible.
And isn't it so weird? This is one of the things I realized when I was still very overweight, but it's like, isn't it weird that you take up so much space and yet you're invisible? So you're like,
it's super weird.
So weird. So weird. I had a real hard time initially when people started just like opening the door for me or acknowledging me or talking to me.
Yeah. You're like, oh, now I'm human, am I? What was I before?
So yesterday, so back in the day when I was, 400 pounds, I used to go to this drive-through Starbucks near my house almost every day with my son and get a blueberry scone and whatever fat, caramel macchiato or something. And there was a guy who worked there who was super cute. And he always just made me feel like I was a real person and seen, and it really made an impact on me. And I mean, this is like, it's been 5 years since I had weight loss surgery. So, this was like 6 or 7 years ago. I walked into a different coffee shop yesterday and he was working in this different coffee shop. And so I was just talking and joking with him. He didn't obviously he didn't recognize me, even if he would probably wouldn't have recognized me, even if I still weighed 400 pounds. And I walked out and I thought, you know what? I need to go tell him what a difference he made to me during that time. So I got one of my before pictures and I went in and we both started crying. I'm like, I just want you to know that it makes a real difference when you see someone.
Yes.
Even when they're trying their hardest to be invisible.
Yep. And I feel like that about my husband. That is probably one of the best things, that he never treated me any different when I was at my highest weight, when I was at my lowest weight. He always just loved me. And I was like, that is the most valuable thing to me ever.
Yeah. And Karen says her husband, who I got to meet, and I got to meet her and her husband and her best friend when I was in New Hampshire. She says, my husband always says, I love you. I love you now. I fell in love with you as you, not as what your weight was.
And I love it when there are people out there like that, because I have been on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I've had somebody who I was totally in love with. We met online and he came out to see me and then like totally left, and I was too fat for him, and like it was bad. So I really, really, really appreciate that my hubby is a sweetheart and just loves me for me.
Aww. Whoops, sorry, my alarm is going off. Okay, so this is a totally unweight loss surgery related question, but one of my best friends is getting married in 100 days. Do you have any suggestions, any wedding bits of advice?
Don't do everything yourself. I did that. That was a terrible idea. Even if you think it costs a lot to have something done, pay for it, because even doing it yourself, it costs, I swear, just as much and takes up hours and hours and hours of your time. I did my own wedding cake. I catered all of my food. I'm crazy, I tell you. I made the flower girl dresses. Everything I could do myself, I did myself, and that was stupid. I was so stressed out. Yes, pay to have something.
She's already decided that. I introduced her to a friend of mine who has this great house that I thought would be perfect for her wedding. Yep. But then it was like, we're going to have to be there every weekend doing this and this and this and this. And we're going to have to do this and this. And she's like, yeah, I think I should.
A lot of stress. A lot. And I think by like 9 o'clock on my wedding evening, I was like, I'm so tired. I just need to go. Let's get out of here. Like, I was exhausted. I had been up till like 3, 4 in the morning working on this stuff, getting up super early. Don't do it all yourself. Don't.
Any other piece of advice about the day of?
Try to enjoy it, even though there's craziness going around. Tell everybody to handle it themselves and don't tell you. I told my maid of honor, I said, if something goes wrong, don't tell me, because I'm going to freak out. Solve it any which way you have to solve it. I don't care. Don't tell me.
That sounds like good advice. So you remember how I told you that this hour was going to go by really fast?
Yes.
It go by really fast?
Yes. Yes. I was super nervous, but I also have really bad anxiety. So I'm glad I did it, though. Thank you for having me.
You did great. You're adorable. I'm so glad I got a chance to talk to you in sort of real life, not exactly real life.
It's been super nice actually chatting with you.
And you really helped me through your comments and stuff, really helped me through a tough time.
Thank you.
I mean,
I tried to be very genuine and just lay it all out there.
Yeah, no, you absolutely did. So is there anything you want to tell people that I forgot to ask you before we do our questions?
Get pregnant, get knocked up, do it. It's way easier than before, way easier. And I would just say, just be very, very careful. Don't eat whatever you want. Try to maintain a mostly 90% healthy. You can have a little treat from time to time because pregnancy is hard, but it's way easier after surgery. And I just wish everybody luck, because I waited and waited and waited and waited and waited and wanted a little baby so bad, another baby, but it's totally worth it. Start trying.
What's your favorite thing about your son? And I guess we're not going to see him. Your husband's not going to bring him.
Maybe he's asleep and being good. My hubby's upstairs with both the kiddos, and I told him to just try to keep him quiet, so he must be snuggling and sleeping. But
pretty good job.
I know. Good job, Daddy. My favorite thing is his little giggles and his chubby little cheeks. I just want to smush him and kiss him all the time.
Aw. Okay, you ready for our questions?
Go for it. What's
your favorite word?
My favorite, I have 2 probably, hope and love.
Aww. I went to Hobby Lobby today and bought all the things, and I think they all said hope and love on them.
That's right. Everybody needs hope and love.
What is your least favorite word?
Probably discrimination. In any form, I absolutely hate it. Hate it.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
I think just when someone is behind you, like encouraging you. Words of encouragement are super big for me.
That's awesome. That's your love language.
That is my love language.
I have not read that book, but all my friends.
I have like taken the test. It's do it.
Oh, maybe I should take the test. Okay. What turns you off?
People who are selfish and self-absorbed and who treat people like crap. I absolutely hate them, don't need them, want them in my life at all.
What's your favorite curse word?
I actually do not swear very much, or I didn't used to swear very much until I got pregnant again and all the hormones, but probably shit. Just all the time. Shit.
What sound or noise do you love?
I love it when my baby's laughing, giggling.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Oh, when my dog licks her crotch. It drives
me nuts.
I cannot handle it.
I don't have a dog anymore, but my mom has the grossest dogs on the planet, and they're like French bulldogs, so they're all squished in. Yes. So when you do it, it's like doubly gross.
Disgusting. Yes.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh, someday this is gonna happen. But I want a giant farm, like a pumpkin patch, an apple orchard, and a giant barn to do weddings. And I will do the wedding cakes myself.
Oh,
that is my dream.
If you lived closer, I'd totally hook you up with my friend because he needs somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, his house is amazing. It used to be a convent. It's 8,000 square feet and it's so gorgeous. But he needs somebody who can do all the hard work.
I do all the things.
You do, but you live too far away.
No.
What profession would you not like to do?
Oh, goodness. I have done a lot of things. I don't know that anything is really off limits. I mean, I change poopy diapers on a daily for other people. So I can handle most things. I grew up on a farm. Anything.
Okay. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I want a big old hug. I don't even need to hear anything. I just want a big hug.
Aw. All right. Well, you guys, I will be back on Sunday for the last of the Vlogmas Naked Truths with Grace Gets Gastric. I want to thank everybody for showing up and watching and commenting and coming on and doing all this. It's been super fun to get back into it. And I am particularly happy that we got to connect. Jo.
Thank you so much for having me on here. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. I will talk to you guys on Sunday. Jo, stay here because I'm going to stop it, but stay here for a second.